Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to be talking more about prepositional phrases. So, like we do for all of our grammar lessons, let's go through the projectables so we can understand what we have to do for our task today. So, a prepositional phrase can add information to a sentence in a creative story or text. It can tell where, when, or how, or can add detail, which is exactly what you guys did yesterday on page 211. So, let's look at some of these examples. Prepositional phrase that says where. The dog walker traveled on the bus. We know where the dog walker is by the prepositional phrase on the bus. The dog walker traveled after school. We know when the dog walker traveled because the prepositional phrase after school tells us when. The dog walker traveled with our friends. That tells us how by using the prepositional phrase with our friends. And an example of a detailed prepositional phrase would be Russ is the dog walker from our or for our neighbors, I'm sorry. Now let's look at the activity that we have here. We are supposed to underline the prepositional phrase in each sentence, write how, where, when, or detail on the line to tell what information it adds. Well, I'm going to once again pop open this little bubble over here so I can interact with the text a little bit more. So once again, we're going to underline the prepositional phrase in each sentence and then determine whether it is how, where, when, or detail. So let's go through a couple of these together. Number 1, I got my dog at the dog pound. Well, at is my preposition, so I'm going to underline at the dog pound as my prepositional phrase. Now I need to ask myself, does this prepositional phrase tell me how, where, when, or detail? Well, I got my dog at the dog pound, so that tells me where, and I will write that here. I don't know how you guys write on Cami because this is extremely difficult to do. Yikes. Okay, number 2, he sleeps on my brother's bed. Once again, my preposition here is the word on, so I'm going to underline the prepositional phrase on my brother's bed. And this also tells me where, so we're going to write where for number 2 as well. And we'll do one more on this page. They go for a walk before breakfast. Before is my preposition, and this prepositional phrase tells me when. Sorry, guys, this is really difficult. Okay, excellent. So now let's look at the paper that you guys have to do today. Let's exit this out. So your activity today is page 212 on Cami, and it's pretty related to the one I just did on the projectable. So let's look what the directions say. It says circle each preposition, then underline the noun or pronoun it tells about. Well, since we didn't practice that on the previous page, let's look at the example that they give us here. A prepositional phrase is a group of words that begins with a preposition and ends with a noun or pronoun that it describes. The noun or pronoun is the object of the preposition. Preposition and object here. We watched a movie after dinner. The preposition after helps clarify what word. When, after what did you watch a movie? Well, dinner is the object of our preposition. My book is at Elizabeth's house after all. We need to decide where your book is. The preposition says it is at the house, so house is the object of this preposition. And then for this one, we're looking at prepositional phrases. The polling place is across the street. Once again, this tells you where something is. The candidate with the most votes wins. This tells you detail. So I'm going to do 1 and 5 for you so you have a working example as to what you need to do. So we're just going to use this handy little tool to the side here so that I can interact with the text once more. So for 1 through 4, we're going to circle the preposition, then underline the noun or pronoun it tells about. So number 1, Holly is a reporter who works at the newspaper. Well, my preposition is at, so I'm going to circle at, and then we're going to underline the noun or pronoun it tells about. Well, at is telling me where something is happening. So I need to ask myself which word in this sentence answers the question, where? Where does Holly work? Holly works at the newspaper. So newspaper is the object of my preposition or the noun or pronoun that the preposition tells about. Now let's look at number 5. We're going to circle the preposition, then underline the prepositional phrase. Holly wrote a story about every speech. About is my preposition, and my prepositional phrase is about every speech. So I'm going to underline this. I hope this clarifies this worksheet for you. Once again, if you have any questions, you can comment on Google Classroom, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks, guys.